But the thing that drives me crazy is that 58% say his policies have made economic conditions worse. Now, I understand that there are people who specifically feel that they are under the bell jar with the finances. But statistically, the economy has gotten better. There are more jobs than we've ever had. Inflation is down. I don't know about gas prices, although I'm not sure he's involved with that. So, but they're mad. The job numbers are very, very good.
The Wall Street Journal had a poll showing 2/3 of Democrats say Joe Biden is too old to run again. Are you prepared to be commander-in-chief?
Yes, I am, if necessary. But Joe Biden is going to be fine. And let me tell you something. I work with Joe Biden every day. The work that, under Joe Biden's leadership, our administration has accomplished is transformative. I think the American people, most of all, want a leader who actually gets things done.
And then just take a look at the mood of the country right now. 30% of Americans in this poll say things are going well today, Sarah. 7 in 10 Americans say they're going badly.
I am going to make the assumption that the economic concerns are one of the really big issues for Americans. Inflation, not having their jobs, give them enough money to sort of keep up.
Hey there, guys. Welcome to the channel. So the mainstream liberal media, like a lot of us saw coming, they're intensifying their criticism and intensifying their attacks on Joe Biden. And a lot of it, it's his age, but really it's his poor performance in the polls. And this is happening really because Donald Trump is looking really, really good against Joe Biden in basically all of the recent polls. In fact, the recent polls show a majority of Republicans in the race either beat Biden or tied with him or very, very close to getting there. So the way it looks is if the general was held today, any Republican facing Biden, including Trump, they have a very, very good chance of winning. Most likely they would take it. On top of that, it really does look like Trump is almost certain to win the Republican primary unless something major happens. And, you know, God forbid something major happens. But anyway, Democrats, they're actively trying to undermine democracy. They're actively trying to remove the man from the race. And people who have never paid attention before, people who were never, apolitical or whatever, they see it. People are actually waking up, which is fantastic to see. Let me know in the comments if you see it too. But, current math does suggest that Trump can absolutely return to the White House. And the Democrats and liberal media, they're losing it. And they're doing anything and everything possible, including attempting to literally put the guy in prison. Not because he did something egregious. No, they're doing this to prevent him from becoming president again. And the only crime we can absolutely be sure that the man ever committed was denying Hillary Clinton her rightful place on the throne. So the left, they're going to do anything. They will do anything. And anything seems to include sidelining Joe Biden, who clearly is not mentally fit to be the president of the United States. To me, he doesn't look morally fit either. Not that that even matters anymore, but we can absolutely prove that he lacks the mental fitness for sure. And anyone who is being at all intellectually honest, they know that this man cannot serve another 4 years if he's reelected in 2024. And that's why there is this giant focus on Kamala Harris in interviews, asking if she's ready to be president. And I wish that we would have had this kind of tactic in 2020, just like they did with McCain and the whole catchphrase, do we really want Sarah Palin a heartbeat away from the presidency? I think the Republicans, they must have been scared about a race or something to not play that. I don't know why they didn't. But anyway, it's all a moot point. Because I'm willing to bet that Biden is not going to be the nominee in 2024 for the Democratic Party. They'll probably have to choose Harris over Biden, literally to avoid beating Trump or defeating, to avoid a defeat by Trump. Even though, Harris, her ratings and her poll numbers, they aren't much better than Biden's. They're probably worse in a lot of polls. And the funny thing is, what they actually need is someone who can actually articulate their thoughts. And she's not that. So we'll see what happens. But if the polls continue in this direction, Trump's going to take it, obviously. Polls can be wrong, of course, but, the closeness of these polls is causing an absolute fun to watch panic among the mainstream liberal media. CNN is literally urging the Democrat viewer to seriously consider whether Biden should be the nominee. And given his poor polling, not just against Trump, but in general, that's the direction they're going. You got to see this. But before we do, guys, thanks to everyone who's been subscribing and actively engaging in the community. We really, really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. If you haven't already, please help us with the algorithm. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. Really, really helps us a lot, and we appreciate it. Check this out.
I think to some degree are jarring given the scale and what they may mean for the current president. We have brand new CNN polling this morning, and those numbers are looking rough for President Biden. It could be a troubling sign for Democrats and the president's hopes for re-election in 2024. Biden's approval rating sinking to 39%. Nearly 60% of voters think Biden's policies are making the economy worse, and close to 70% of Democrats want somebody else to run for president. His overall approval rating among Democratic voters, that's slipping from July. And when it comes to hypothetical matchups between Biden and the leading GOP presidential candidates, it's a tight race with no clear winner.
Except for Nikki Haley, who in this hypothetical matchup is leading President Biden by 6 points. Donald Trump ahead by 1 point of Biden. This all comes right before President Biden heads off on a big foreign trip. He said to meet with world leaders at the G20 summit in India. Happy to be joined this morning in studio by our political director, David Chalian, with all this new polling. And I mean, some people think polls. This one, to me, is totally riveting and fascinating about how Americans think Joe Biden is handling his job, including Democrats.
Yeah, and it's going to set off some alarm bells in the White House, no doubt. You noted his approval rating is down at 39%, 61% of Americans disapprove. He's been hanging at that low point, guys, for quite some time. We talk about the mood of the country 14 months out from a presidential election. Not that great. 3 in 10 Americans, that's it, say things are going well in the country. 7 in 10 say things are going badly in the country. And 58% of Americans in this poll say that Joe Biden's policies have actually worsened economic conditions in the country. Only 24% say they've improved economic conditions. This is why we hear him talking about Bidenomics every day he's out and about in the country.
David, the president is the oldest president in history. He was this morning. He will be tomorrow. That's just the reality. And White House officials acknowledge that, don't love talking about it, but have long made the case that's not the kind of pervasive issue for voters. It's not going to be the determinant factor. What does this poll show?
Well, it's certainly on the mind of voters. We'll see how important it becomes, but it clearly is a major concern. We asked folks, Phil, are you seriously concerned that Biden's age might negatively affect his ability to serve a full term? 3/4 of Americans are indeed seriously concerned. 3/4 of Americans don't agree on anything, but there's concern there. You see it here, too. Seriously concerned about his current mental and physical competence being negatively impacted by his age, and seriously concerned that his understanding of the next generation's concerns are impacted. 68% say that. And the economy, as we talked about, that is what is behind these numbers. Why Joe Biden is in a sort of dead heat, margin of error race with nearly every Republican tested. Poppy noted that Nikki Haley is the exception to that. She's running outside the margin of error. But look at this. Trump, margin of error race, no clear leader. DeSantis, Pence, Scott, Ramaswamy, Christie, they are all with no clear leader. And I just want to note, guys, one other thing that is going to cause agita for the White House team is this motivation factor. Are you extremely motivated to vote in next year's presidential election? Look at this. Republicans and Republican-leaning independents have a 10-point advantage over Democrats on that score.
Yeah, that really matters. How people feel on that front, David. Thank you.
So, yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, those poll numbers are freaking harsh, man. But approach this with caution for sure. You know, we're a year out from the election. And as we saw in the midterms, man, polls, they don't necessarily reflect the actual results. But really, you know, wrong or not, Trump should be lagging way behind Joe Biden, giving everything that the establishment has thrown at him. But that's not the case. And really, you know, these polls show that even Democrats, they're not satisfied with Joe Biden. You know, the economy seems to be really the thing fueling these polls, even though people at The View and things like that will tell us that the economy is just great and everyone's doing just fine. They're not. You know, and it's not surprising that the liberal media and talk shows like The View, they're frightened by these polls. But really, I mean, the best part of that, you know, is that they actually seem genuinely confused by ordinary people. You know, not people who are not wealthy talk show hosts. You know, those people think the economy is actually in poor shape. They're confused by these people. You know, Joy Behar and The View, they think that Americans are not actually struggling and that the impact of inflation and the declining value of our dollar is all in our heads. And let me know in the comments if you think she's actually that tone deaf or if she really, really believes it or is just saying it because she has to. But take a look at this.
Okay, this has not been a good day for Joe Biden. Why? Because a poll came out at CNN and said that he is at an overall approval rating of 39%. That's not good. They're very concerned, voters, about his age, his stamina, and apparently the investigation around his son's business dealings. The other side has plenty, believe me. We know that already. But the thing that drives me crazy is that 58% say his policies have made economic conditions worse. Now, I understand that there are people who specifically feel that they are under the bell jar with the finances. But statistically, the economy has gotten better. There are more jobs than we've ever had. Inflation is down. I don't know about gas prices, although I'm not sure he's involved with that. So, but they're mad. The job numbers are very, very good. I mean, last month we had 187,000 jobs, a lot of jobs. And last week he delivered a huge plan to reduce prescription drug costs.
That's important.
Insulin, and the Republican Party votes against that.
So it's actually confusing to Joy Behar, and it probably drives her completely nuts that ordinary people feel the economy is struggling, that ordinary people are struggling. It doesn't actually affect her that ordinary people are struggling. It bothers her that they think that they're struggling. And, it's got to do with soaring house prices, crazy mortgage rates, and the fact that no one wants to sell their home because no one can afford to buy a new one after selling the home. Even if they make a killing on the thing, they can't afford the next one. And this situation, obviously this people staying put has caused rents to go sky high, and the cost of living is just crazy in most places. All while the value of our dollar is just getting destroyed. People cannot afford what they used to. And the average household is paying $700 to $1,000 more every month than just a few years ago. But according to Joy Behar, who's a millionaire who doesn't even drive herself, therefore is oblivious to gas prices, people shouldn't feel the way that they do, she says. In this perspective, it reveals how incredibly disconnected that some of these people that we depend on for information, they really are. They're living in a bubble. They're shielded from any sort of economic turmoil that they caused by voting for Joe Biden and anything his administration has done. These people, they then appear on TV and they condescendingly dismiss the struggles of actual people that are watching them. People who say that they're finding it harder to get by under Biden than they did Trump. They don't understand that people's real wages have actually decreased. And most of us are worse off under the Biden administration than we were under Donald Trump. I don't know if Behar is not smart enough to really grasp this, or maybe her writers, whether they're on strike or not, are not honest enough to provide her with the real numbers explaining why Americans feel this way, feel the way that we do. But, what's happening is that there really is a growing push to remove, because of all this, to remove Biden, to prevent Donald Trump from returning to office. There will be attempts to lock Trump up. There will be attempts to convict him. And hopefully, those don't sway the public opinion and the polls. But if by next summer, Trump is the Republican nominee, has been acquitted in some of his trials, and it's evident that he has a good chance of winning, without a doubt, Biden is out of there. He's going to step down. They're going to take their chances with Kamala Harris, hoping that she can beat Trump, which she cannot. I mean, I genuinely believe that that side will do everything possible to prevent Donald Trump from returning to the office of the president, including forcing Biden to step down and taking a crazy bet on Kamala Harris. The mainstream liberal media, their emphasis on these polls, it's making real pressure for the Democrats to address what appears to be the path leading to Trump becoming president again. A prospect that literally scares the hell out of these people. So they're sounding the alarm, but only time's going to tell if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments what you think, guys. They might stick with Joe Biden, but given how close these polls are, I doubt it. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Those are just mine. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. We'll see you in the next one.